This is Stepping Stones lesson 4.9. We're still reviewing common fractions and we are reviewing equivalent fractions. It says, look at this chart, look at this fraction chart. The top strip is one whole. Point to the strip that is divided into two parts, this one. What fraction of that strip is shaded? 1/2. What parts of other strips can you shade to show the same fraction, and how do you know? This is a really easy way to see equivalent fractions. Before I highlight this, I just want us to think about what the word equivalent means. Equivalent is a synonym for equal. They are even, they are equal to each other. So when we say equivalent, it means the same. They are equal to each other. So let's look at this one. If I highlight both sections of this 1/4 strip right here, you can see that the same amount of area is colored between the blue and the yellow. So 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. All fractions aren't going to be equivalent. For example, I don't have anything equivalent to 1/2 if I'm using fifths. We can get close, but it's going to be too much or too little. But if we go down to 1/8, you can see that if I highlight 4 of these, the same amount of area is colored in blue as is colored in yellow up here and blue in there. So 4/8 is equivalent to 2/4 and 1/2. I can do the same on 1/10.
Pardon the interruption.
Sorry, guys. Okay, if I highlight down here, 1/10, I can see that 5/10 covers the same area as 4/8 and as 2/4 and as 1/2. So all of these fractions are equivalent. So it says write fractions to complete these sentences. I can say 5/10 is equivalent to 4/8. Oops, that's an 8 and that's a 4. Is equivalent to 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. And they are equivalent because they cover the same amount of area. They equal each other in area. Okay, this one says, what fractions do you see on this number line and what fractions can you show? So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be 1/6. This would be 1/2 or 3/6. Those are equivalent fractions. So keep looking for equivalent fractions on here. For example, this would be 6/6, which is equivalent to 1 or 1/1. So look for equivalent fractions between 1 and 3. Then we're going to go down here. It says use the fraction chart above to help you write your equivalent fractions. So we're going to go back up and look at 1/5 and see, I'm going to erase these. We have 1/5 right here. And we want to see what is equivalent to 1/5. So I'm going to look and see at these lines and see if any of them match up, because then I know that that covers the same amount of area. And I see that 2/10 is equivalent to 1/5. Another way to find equivalent fractions if you don't have a chart like this is to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So I can multiply these both by 2. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 4 is 8. So 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4. I want you to do C and D and E on your own using the fraction chart or this strategy right here. And we are going to go to page 2. Number 2 says, on each number line below, the distance from 0 to 1 is 1 whole. Write the fractions that the arrows are pointing to. So we have 1, 2, 6. The purple is, these purple lines you can kind of see are 6. The orange lines are the 12. So we have 2 6 and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 12s. So go ahead and fill the rest of these out. Remember, you're looking at these lines on top to fill in the top ones and the orange lines on the bottom to fill in the bottom ones. And you can see where these are equivalent. Number 3 says use this number line to help you write equivalent fractions or whole numbers. So we have 1/4, which would be right here on this line. And so I'm going to look at the line below and I'm going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the bottom line is 8ths, the top line is 4ths. And I see 1/4 is the same as 2/8. On B, I see 10/8, so I know it's going to be past 1, so this would be 8/8 would be equal to 1. So 9, 10/8 would be right here, which would be for 5/4. So use that number line to help you. Do C, D, E, F, G, and H on your own. And then step ahead says draw lines to divide the last strip into 16ths. Then complete 2 different equations involving 16ths. So we're going to look here. And 1/16 is half of an eighth. So I'm going to draw a line every half of 1/8. Okay, and then it says to use 2 different equations using 16ths. So I'm going to start with 1/2. 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And then 4/8 is equivalent to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8/16. Go ahead and do problem B on your own, and then we will be done.